The M4 iPad Air may have a secret advantage over the M3, 256 gigs of base storage. This is just speculation on my end, but since the iPhone 17 got a storage increase to 256 gigs, I think that could hint at more mid-range Apple devices getting that same treatment. If the M4 Air lands with 256 gigs at $599, suddenly it's a much more enticing deal. But storage isn't the only potential upgrades. The M5 iPad Pro got fast charge support, and there's a chance some of that tech could trickle down to the Air. The M5 Pro can hit 50% in about 35 minutes if you plug in a 60-watt charger, or even Apple's new 40-watt dynamic power adapter. Sounds amazing, right? Well, classic Apple plot twist incoming, the Air's probably going to ship with a 20-watt brick that doesn't support fast charging at all, if you're even in a country that still gets a charger, that is. Here in the UK and Europe, you get a polite wave and a USB-C cable. And continuing with the bad news, if you're hoping the next iPad Air, the one coming in spring 2026, would finally get an OLED display, well, it won't. Yeah, you heard me right, the iPad mini's actually getting OLED first. Which sounds backwards, doesn't it? The smaller, cheaper tablet gets the fancy screen before the Air. So here's what's happening. According to reports, Apple plans to give the iPad mini an OLED display as soon as 2026. Meanwhile, the iPad Air will stay with LCD for one more generation. That means the M5 iPad Air coming in 2027 is when OLED finally arrives. That'll make the M4 model the last of the LCD generation, the end of an era, so to speak. If you're a fan of LCD and don't fancy paying the inevitable OLED premium, the next year or so might be the best time to grab an Air at a discount. Now OLED is brilliant, deep blacks, incredible contrast, vibrant colours, but it's not coming cheap, guys. The iPad mini's price is rumoured to jump up to $599, which is what the Air starts at right now, so that gives us a pretty clear hint about where Apple's heading. Once the Air gets OLED in 2027, expect to start at $699 for the 11-inch, and maybe $899 for 13-inch. That's classic Apple logic, new display, new price tag. So yes, waiting might get you the better screen, but your wallet will definitely feel it. Still, the situation is kind of funny when you think about it. The cheaper, less popular iPad mini is getting OLED first, while the iPad Air, the mainstream, crowd-pleasing model, gets left behind for now. The only explanation that makes sense is production. Apple probably can't mass-produce OLED panels at the scale needed for the Air, since it sells in much higher volumes than the Mini. So the Mini becomes Apple's test subject. They can perfect manufacturing with smaller batches before rolling out to the Air, where the demand is going to be much higher. And even the OLED panels themselves won't be the same as what you'll find on the iPad Pro. The Pro models use a more advanced tandem stack OLED design, meaning the brighter, more durable. The panels going into the Mini and later the Air will be single stack OLEDs. They'll still look fantastic, but they won't get quite as bright as the Pro versions. It's Apple dipping its toes in the OLED waters for mid-range iPads, not diving in headfirst. I would, by the way, still expect the Mini and then Air to gain promotion with OLEDs, meanwhile the M4 Air will likely be stuck in 60Hz land. To be fair, this wouldn't be the first time the iPad mini gets a perk before the Air. Remember the iPad mini 6? That launched with the A15 while the Air was still running the A14. And actually the mini to this day has a flash on the back which the Air for some reason never adopted, because iPad mini users are more serious photographers, I guess? But at least with OLED we can expect this to eventually come down to the Air as well. So history's just repeating itself. The mini steals the spotlight for a bit, and then the Air catches up later with a more refined version. Quick pause, if you've made this far and you're enjoying the breakdown, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the hype button. It really helps a small channel like mine reach more people, and honestly, it's the best way to stay updated when Apple inevitably breaks our hearts again next year. Now the M4 iPad Air itself isn't bad, it's just not what many hoped for. Inside it's going to feature Apple's M4 chipset, built on a more efficient second generation 3nm process that brings improved ray tracing, dynamic caching, and faster unified memory bandwidth. All the usual Apple buzzwords that sound exciting until you realise most just use the iPads to watch Netflix and do some note-taking. Still, performance will improve even if the average user won't notice a night and day difference. Battery life? Probably unchanged, around 10 hours of typical usage, which Apple has somehow kept consistent for what feels like 2 decades now. It's reliable, if not groundbreaking. So you'll still have enough juice for streaming, drawing, or leaving it on your desk for 3 days, pretending you're working. One area that will improve meaningfully is connectivity. The M4 Air will include Apple's new C1X modem, offering up to 50% faster 5G speeds. It will also pack the N1 networking chipset, bringing Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread support. So if you like to play Clash Royale on the go like the iPad kid you are, you will appreciate this. As for design, well, Apple is clearly following the don't fix what isn't broken philosophy, because the M4 Air is going to look identical to the M2 and M3 models, which looks identical to the M1 and A14 models. Wow, Apple loves to recycle. Flat edges, same size, same layout, but we might get some new colors because let's face it, that's how Apple tricks us into feeling excited. And personally, I'm hoping for some bright shades like we have on the base iPads. Give us some actual fun colors, Apple. Not this barely blue that's kinda silver most lighting. Please get rid of these subtle shades and give us punchy colors. So what we're looking at here overall is another incremental update. Not a bad thing, just safe. The M4 Air will keep the lineup consistent, give us a nice performance increase, more base storage, faster charging, faster connectivity, and maybe a new coat of paint. Meanwhile, the iPad Air gets all the buzz with OLEDs, which probably makes the Air feel like that dependable friend who always shows up but never makes a scene. So if you're looking for an iPad Air, you're at a crossroads. Either grab a discounted LCD model soon and save money, or wait for the shiny OLED version in 2027 and pay a premium. It's a classic Apple dilemma. Do you want it cheap or do you want it shiny? Still, despite all the OLED envy, the M4 Air isn't something to scoff at. It's as interesting as watching paint dry, but it's refined, efficient, and well balanced. I mean, there's a reason the Air continues to be a bestseller, and it's because it just does iPad things very well. But right now, it just happens to exist in that awkward middle ground where it's not flashy enough to headline an event, but good enough to be the iPad most should probably buy. I guess strategically holding off OLED for the Air does make some sense because by spacing out these upgrades, they ensure every model has its own moment to shine. First the Pro, then the Mini, and finally the Air. It's a slow rollout that keeps the product lineup feeling fresh, even if the changes themselves are incremental. So yes, the iPad Mini will have its fun first, but the Air will catch up as it always does, and when it does, expect that 2027 M5 iPad Air with OLEDs to look stunning and cost a little more than we'd like. Until then, the M4 Air remains a reliable solid choice with plenty of power and excellent connectivity, just wrapped in slightly familiar packaging. To wrap things up, the M4 iPad Air might not turn heads, but it keeps the momentum going. It's the calm before the OLED storm, so if you want the better screen, wait for 2027, but if you want the better deal, grab an LCD Air while you can. Either way, Apple gets your money. And before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give the hype button a tap as well. It helps more than you think and ensures you won't miss the next time I unpack Apple's fascinating habits of giving the Mini all the fun stuff first.